So what are placement tests? What are their purpose? What makes for a good one? And maybe Adam, you can start us off talking about that.
Yeah, sure. So I work with quite a few universities and colleges and schools, so various different levels, language schools. And like Tiny said, the context depends quite a lot. So the way universities use placement tests obviously is very different to the way language schools and like middle schools, high schools would use it. But there are a few key things that when I'm talking to like the school or the university that people will ask for in their placement test. And it's things like a range of skills, for example. They want to make sure that there's a good range of productive and receptive skills. So there, we've got a different range of placement tests depending on what people need. Some people prefer the efficiency of a short test. So it might just be a shorter test that measures maybe grammar, vocabulary, reading, and then maybe a short writing question to assess some productive skills. Or some institutions might want to do a full reading, writing, listening, speaking, break down the different modules and work out which areas of weakness different students have, and maybe even place the students that way, students that are struggling in certain skills. But aside from that, often some will ask that it be adaptive so that they can do a shorter test and see how different students get placed. But a caveat to that, so CRELA, which is the Centre for Research in English Language Testing and Assessment, English Language Learning and Assessment, sorry, they're the ones that academically manage our tests, and they're not a fan of short tests being adapted. So they prefer to see like a longer section of questions that all learners are exposed to, and they can they feel like it's a better way of placing students. But aside from that, like items that are tailored towards the specific context as well. So rather than assessing whether a student who's applying to a university can order a sandwich, like checking that they can actually write an academic essay or that they can reference properly and things like this. So so when picking placement tests, I suppose it's important to make sure that it's one that's tailored to that context. And there was another, something that tests what students actually know. So with our tests, we only do testing, we don't do any teaching, for the simple reason that we believe that students shouldn't be too prepared for a test if it's going to measure their accurate level of knowledge. So we actually see a lot of the universities in the UK who we work with test on arrival to see which students need extra support. And they'll have accepted students that have come in with an IELTS score of 6 or above. And then they'll find that there's maybe a small 10% of those students that have maybe slipped a level, maybe on occasion 2 levels, because they've maybe crammed for that test. They've been coached to within an inch of their life. They take that test, and then maybe they've just dropped it back a little bit, and they can just identify them early and give them a bit of extra support and place them that way. So there's a few key things that a lot of institutions will look for when picking a placement test.